So thank you so much for having me. I value the PCE pop-ups immensely and anything from PCE. And so I really feel honored to be able to present on something that I know about, which is recruiting. I have been in our office in Clark County, Las Vegas, Nevada for almost 20 years. And the last 10 of those years I've spent as the person in charge of recruiting. I am the chief of training and recruiting. I hope you were able to watch part one of recruiting. I have learned a lot through all of my years in recruiting, and I really thought part one was extremely valuable. So I would suggest if you weren't able to watch it, to go back and watch the video. I'm really going to be building upon a lot of those concepts that we covered and learned about in part one today. What I'm really going to focus on are some of the strategies that we use here in Clark County for recruiting. And that's going to be talking about our ways to generate future applicants, or as it was stated in the email, a prosecutor pipeline. And then also the things I do to make sure that my internship program is extremely engaging for the interns who are trying to recruit as prosecutors. Right now, what we talked about in recruiting part one and why you're all here today is we're all facing challenges. Your office is not unique. It's happening at prosecutors' offices across the country, and prosecutors aren't unique. It's happening in the entire legal field. I talk to my friends at career development offices and hear the same thing about other legal recruiters. And it's also not just limited to the law, it's every employer. And so that's why we're here. But I will tell you that in Clark County, we have specifically had challenges for a really long time, longer than that. And that is because Nevada has some specific things that make us a small legal community. So we just don't have as many candidates to pull from with our, we are a huge legal employer. We have 175 attorneys in our office. And so we have a high need to recruit. But in Nevada, we only have one law school. All of our legal employers in Nevada are duking it out for all of the people that graduate from the one law school, Boyd School of Law, UNLV, in Nevada. And that school has only been in existence since the early 2000s. So we've had, even before I started, we've had challenges in how do we recruit when we don't even have a law school churning out lawyers in this state. UNLV also has very small class sizes. So again, all of us legal employers are kind of competing for these, once a year small class sizes that are coming out of UNLV Boyd School of Law. Also, it's interesting if you look at stats, and I have since I started recruiting 10 years ago, about different states. We in Nevada have a high number of legal jobs per number of graduates. To put it another way, in some big states where they have a lot of law schools, they have maybe 10 or even 13 job applicants, like graduates from law school, for every one legal job available. So that's a great position for employers to want to be in. Over the course of time, over the last 15 years, some of your offices maybe were benefiting from that, where you had maybe 10 graduates coming out onto the job market for every one of your legal jobs. In Nevada, historically, like when I took over recruiting 10 years ago, it was closer to one graduate for every one legal job. And we just have a few lawyers in Nevada. We have a low rate of lawyers per population compared to other states. We only have 7,500 resident attorneys. So I tell you all this to tell you that we've had to kind of be creative and think and strategize, not just kind of sit back and advertise our positions, but actually think long-term and plan about how to do recruiting. And so that's how we, one of the reasons I'm going to talk to you today about our kind of ideas and strategies for generating future applicants. One thing is, I am a product of this. I grew up in Minnesota, born and raised, and went to the University of Minnesota for law school. But as I was coming up to graduate, I wanted to work in a DA's office, but I was taking the Illinois bar. That was a bar that I could waive into different states with. But this job popped up in Nevada. It's a 1-year law clerk position that we have. You don't have to take the bar. You never have to pass the bar. It's modeled after a judicial clerkship. So basically, that's how we get people into our state, like me. I'm a product of this, to come and see like, yeah, this is actually really cool. This is fun. I want to take the Nevada bar. And obviously that was 20 years ago. So this worked with me, getting me here, getting me as a law clerk for that 1 year, from which I could, use that as a foundation to become a deputy district attorney and take the Nevada bar. Since I've taken over for recruiting, I've really worked on this concept of generating future applicants, because we just don't have that many applicants that are organically growing in Nevada. Instead, I'm planting seeds. I think of it as I'm throwing out a ton of seeds and I'm seeing what grows. And some of those will grow into future employees. Some of those will be my future prosecutors. And some of them I will never actually see any benefits from in recruiting. But I see it as we've kind of hit two birds with one stone, because it's part of our public outreach. So I'm doing things at schools. This picture of me is at a high school in town doing an event where they're learning about different careers. I'm going to career events at grade schools, high schools, colleges, and law schools here in town to kind of start planting those seeds in the minds of the people that are growing up in Nevada. And so I'm going to school events. I'll talk about some of those. Job fairs and on-campus interviews are huge opportunities to kind of just start talking to people about what you do, and just all kinds of consults that I do, chats that I'll do, which I'll talk about a little bit. So here are some of and you guys have the slide deck, so I'm not going to talk in depth about each one of these things on this list, and this is not exhaustive. These are just college and other types of school events that I go to. I'll do career week at grade schools, at high schools. They always want people who are lawyers to come in and talk about their jobs. And so you can reach out and find out what opportunities there are for that. This is not a job that I do alone. We have 175 lawyers in our office, and other obviously team members too. And so we are all going out, and I'm sending out information about this to other people in our office to go and also spread the word. But one of the things that a lot of our attorneys will do is coach mock trial teams. This has been a huge, huge help. And some of my newer attorneys and incoming new employees are people who some of our attorneys here coached in high school on their mock trial teams. That has been a huge pipeline for us, because they're obviously already gaining skills and becoming really good candidates with practice in a courtroom like setting. Another one I just want to highlight is guest lecturing. Professors at colleges. I literally went and spoke to a 7th grade class twice this last year because they were doing a mock trial. Adjunct teaching. I am going to be a trial advocacy professor at the Boyd School of Law this year. Anything that you can do, or any of your attorneys in your office can do to get in front of these students. One thing that I've learned from my years of doing this and just speaking to a lot of students is it's surprising to me how many people do not know what a prosecutor is and don't really understand what it is. And then once they're introduced to it, they're really excited about it. And it's something that is a calling for people once you start talking about what it is. And so just getting out there and starting to kind of put yourself in front of them and see these things. One of the interview questions that I always ask is, why are you interested in being in a prosecutor's office? Why are you interested in this internship? And I have goosebumps when I tell you, I hear a lot of people say, a prosecutor came and talked to my class. A prosecutor was somebody who came and taught one of my college classes. And just hearing him or her speak about her experiences was something that just really piqued my interest. And that's who I want to be for these guys, for people that maybe can learn a little bit about what we do and think, maybe that's something I want to do someday. Tours of your office or shadowing. I actually reach out to partners like law enforcement, judicial interns, and do events or tours or things with them so they can get in front of us. I actually have a recruiting event coming up next week where I've invited all the local judicial interns to do a meet and greet with DAs. So we can just kind of say hey, these are people that are interested in the legal field. Let's show them what we are, because the law schools really aren't. Most law schools are not highlighting government work. They're not highlighting anything other than big money civil jobs. And so it's something that I think we need to work on to put a spotlight on. And then I just want to highlight that last thing I have on this slide, which is DA recruiting at clarkcountyda.com. This is an email that they can find on my website. So if they haven't been able to, meet me, but they're interested in doing something, I'll get emails on that website all the time, or that email all the time. And I respond to them and set up a time to talk. So I can actually like answer their questions and map some things out for them. But where I really like to go and where I really like to talk to students is law school. Because I was this person. I did not go to law school to be a prosecutor. I went to law school thinking like, oh, well, maybe this would be something, I would want to do. I was not thinking criminal law at all. But once I got to law school, I started to learn about it. And so I like to be there. This is me judging a trial ad course final trial a couple months ago. And 2 of these females in this group are going to be starting with us in September after they take the bar. The types of things I like to do in law schools is they always need judges for things. They need judges for their oral arguments in moot court. You can a lot of these on Zoom now. I actually was a judge for oral arguments for a GW law school class this last year. They need judges for mock trial. Find out about these things. And once you're kind of like on their email listserv, they will keep coming back to you and asking you again and again to volunteer for these things. A lot of these things, I think you kind of know what they are. So I'm going to just let you read them on the slide deck that you have. But a couple of things I want to highlight is get in touch with your career development office. One thing that really hit home to me about part 1 of recruiting was one of the career development office people said, it's really nice to have a person that's always your go-to person in those organizations. And I am that person. Literally just yesterday, my coordinator that I coordinate with at Boyd was texting me pictures of her and her family in Hawaii. And she knit me something on the plane. Like that's how much of a friend I have in our career development office partners. So they always know I am up for whatever. I want to be on any panel you have. Like I'll sit on a Zoom about virtual court testimony etiquette or whatever they need. I'm always up for it. And so those are the kinds of things that you can do at law schools, and to just get the word out about who we are, because I think that's part of the battle here is if people knew about these positions, they would be jumping for them. Career office, these are job fairs. So this is a picture of me at Equal Justice Works a few years ago. And actually I'm joking because you cannot see me, but I was there. You can see with the arrow is where I was seated in this huge room. And these kinds of fairs give you so much exposure. It's not just interviews. And I use these to interview for my internship program. So I get to just get in front of a ton of students and tell them about our office and our programs. But they also do table talk where people will come by and just be like, hey, just wanted to check in with you and see what you do and get to know you. And so I'm doing one, I think it's next week. It could be the week after. That's a virtual one. They do a lot of these virtually now. So you do not have to have a budget to travel. It's just get and do virtual interviews for your internship program. Because the bureaucracy of at least our office is I can't interview. There's a whole process for the specific interviews for employment, for actual paid jobs. But for my internship, I can talk to anybody. So I'm recruiting, like I already have people set up for summer of 2023 and spring of 2023, because anybody who indicates an interest, I'm like, okay, let's map this out. When are we going to get you in here? And because I've been doing this for so long, I'm kind of just well known in our legal community as a person who will just chat with these guys, these students. It's like the judge's clerk's cousin wants to go to law school. Let's call Nell. And so I will just get them in and start talking through this with them. And I'm happy to talk them through whatever. It's not just me doing the hard sell on prosecution. I'm just open to kind of discussing with them some tips because I deal so much with people that are interested in going to law school. I know a lot about it. And another little tip is my son is at Boyd right now. So those are some of the seeds that I'm planting and throwing out. And what I'm really hoping is that those seeds grow into somebody who's going to be an intern with us, because that's where I'm really trying to grab them. My internship program is something that I really try to be engaging with these guys. So when they get here, they want to apply in the future. And so this is almost just for me, for my own mental health, to tell myself I'm doing okay, I'm doing okay. These are my Boyd, just my UNLV Boyd School of Law interns from the last like year and a half. So I've had 46. 10 of them were not yet eligible to apply because they're still in school. But out of the 36 who could apply, half of them applied. Half of them applied either to our office or to the Washoe DA's office up north in Northern Nevada. And then 18 of them are people who came into our office, saw the good work that we do, know that we're ethical, know that we are working super hard on behalf of the community and respect us, and they're friends of the CCDA. So those are not a loss. Those are not a loss to me. Obviously, I'd rather have more applicants, but those guys are people who I know us and will be friends of us in the future. And so that's why I'm really happy to give them a great experience too, even if the skills they build here are going to be used elsewhere. So I've got a lot of people from this recruiting technique, and a lot of people really have great experiences in our internship program. One thing I want to note that I started to allude to a second ago is our internship program is a recruiting tool. Here's my class of new attorneys from the beginning of 2021. 6 of these were previous interns. 8 of them were previous law clerks with us. So that's a huge help for us in recruiting our lawyers. But what I put into our internship program is, I told you I do training and recruiting. So I'm doing my future self a favor by making my internship super solid and giving them an amazing experience and exposing them and helping them build skills and giving them the tools they need, because it makes my future job so much easier. I'm doing a favor to my future self because these guys end up being our best applicants. The interns who apply speak the language. They get us. They tried it on and it fit. And so it's something that it is an incredible training tool also. Having somebody come straight off the street who's maybe coming from a civil job and never has done this before is not the same as my people who were interns with us. Just side note, our internship program also has college interns. And so that has been a huge help to recruiting in other team positions in our office too. Here's just a few of my interns from my college interns who have seen positions while they've been with us and then applied, and now they're on our team. What I always say is our internship program is a semester long or a summer long interview for us. We get to see, do they fit? Are they hardworking? Are they going to be capable of this job? But on the flip side of that, it is also a semester or a summer-long interview for us, for them to interview us to see, do I like it here? Can I see myself here? And so I want to reveal to you, out of all, I do tons of just chats and interviews and exit interviews and discussions with interns. And here's the things that they're asking me about. And so these are the things that I think you need to think about in improving your internship program. Am I doing these things? Am I showing these things off to my interns? They want to know about work-life balance. They want to know about remote options. They want to know about we're working from home. They want to know about the flexibility they're going to have in their lives. And so I really feel strongly that we should be showing them that and modeling that for them. This one is huge for all of us who grew up in a sink or swim, throw you to the wolves type training program. That is not going to fly anymore. Okay. And it's not right. I mean, they want us to give them the respect and the resources that they need to be able to do their jobs well. So they want to know what kind of training is provided to a new attorney. What kind of mentoring is provided to a new attorney? So during the time that they're here as interns, you should demonstrate that to them. And we do it with doing it with the interns also. One question I get a ton is just, what do you like most about your job? So think about that. What are the things that you guys love most and people in your office love most about your job? Highlight those things to your interns. I'll do like a DA meet and greet where I say like, what is your favorite part of your job? And everybody can like learn those things from listening to the DAs that they aspire to be like. Here's another big one.
Left.
Thank you. The people that we're trying to recruit are go-getters. They want to know, is there an opportunity for career advancement? They don't want to just be stuck doing low-level stuff for 5 years. And that's, for us, we don't have that model. We get people started. My first jury trial was 3 counts of robbery with use of a deadly weapon against an 18th Street gang member, right? I cared about that case. That was something that really probably sold me on this office. Is I was under the supervision of a senior person. I was second chair, but I got to work on something that was important for our community. So are there opportunities for them to do important work, to work on big stuff, to maybe go to a specialty team early on? They don't want to be looking at that 10 years in the future. They don't think that far ahead yet. They'll ask me questions about what do you wish you knew when you were in my shoes, and then I'll use my recruiting brain to tell them, you know, certain things that are great about this office. And I wish I would have known that, but I just lucked into this. Here's one that you can't fake in the interview. They'll ask you this in the interview. Well, tell me about your office culture. You can say in the interview whatever, but they're going to sniff it out and see what the office culture is when they're on your team as an intern. So we need to think about that. What is the atmosphere? Do people feel valued? Do people feel respected? Do interns feel that way? Do new attorneys feel that way? Do they feel supported, like they have a voice? Do they feel heard? Are they comfortable being themselves? This is a bigger one, a bigger and bigger one. You know, people want to be able to not have to hide who they really are and put on some kind of a costume to come to work. These are things that I hear. Is there any consideration for wellness programs? They have these in law schools now. They're really focusing on mental health and wellness in law schools. They want to see that continue at their job, whatever they get. And then I guess I should take this one as, you know, you're old, but I'll always get this one. Why are you still there? Why have you stuck around so long? And so that's when I can start talking to them. And I show the interns this to actually this afternoon, after we get done, I'm going to go have a chat with my summer interns about like, maybe you should start thinking about how great this job is in terms of retirement, or, you know, when you're old and gray, the things that are still satisfying in this job compared to if you were at a firm. Those kinds of things we should really focus on showing off. So like I said, my internship program, this is a picture of some of our interns from last summer with the DA. You know, they have access to the DA. They get to do all kinds of engaging things that I'm going to talk about here in a second. Here's one thing I do. Just one little idea. I do an intern cheat sheet. These are just some of my interns from this summer. And the intern cheat sheet is going to have their name, a photograph, their assignments, like what teams they're assigned to, what school they go to, and then some fun facts about them. And that serves as kind of an icebreaker for our team members to reach out and say like, hey, I also have been a cheer coach before, or my daughter's in cheer or whatever. And something to start a conversation with the interns instead of just like, who are these random people that had just like, you know, encroached upon our office. I also really, really listen to them and map out with them and talk to them about what their goals are. In the interview, I'm talking to them. Kayla is an example for this summer because she expressed to me that SVU is where she wants to be when she wants to be a SVU prosecutor. So of course, I'm going to put her on SVU where she's going to, you know, see what that is. And I also assign them to another team, L3 Turner and L4 Murbach. Those are our general litigation teams. So all of my interns are going to get exposed to all kinds of different variety of cases, and then they get to do a specialty team. Afan is another example. He was with us in the spring and he stayed on for the summer. And so we had a session where we talked about like, okay, what else do you need to do? What are your goals? Now that you see kind of what's on the menu here, what do you want to get to be a part of? And so we kind of figured out he wants to do more court. And so let's put him on gun crimes unit where they're going to do a lot of grand juries, and they're really good. The attorneys on that team are really good at having help in grand juries with interns. Here's another little icebreaker thing I do. One thing that's hard for interns is they're intimidated by us. They're even intimidated by me, and I'm like super outgoing to them. They're really intimidated to like just go and talk to some of the attorneys in the office. And so these are really senior people, like high level people, big trial, you know, big deal people, including the DA and his 2 assistants. And I kind of put pictures of them in like more casual settings. And I tell the interns, I give them this as a scavenger hunt. They have to do this summer. They have to complete this. They've got to get proof of contact with each of these people. And these people have all told me they will have a conversation with you and they would welcome you. So don't think you're going to interrupt them and they're too busy for you. They want to talk to you. I do a full day of orientation. And during that orientation, I am really, I've got to cover the nuts and bolts, right? I've got to cover policies, but your orientation can't just be that. This is where you have a chance to recruit and set the tone for them for the summer. So my orientation is about my support. I'm supporting you on this journey. I want you to follow my 2 rules. I want to see you taking advantage of the opportunities you have here. And I don't want to just see you sitting in your cube waiting for life to happen. I want you to challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone and learn. And you're going to be doing my future self a favor because I'm going to have some of you in my training class someday. And I want you to know things. So I want you to work hard, explore. I want to hear about you making mistakes because of course you're going to make mistakes. You don't know anything yet. It's part of learning, and that's how you're going to grow. And here's the thing, you're a part of this team, and you're going to be a steward for this office too, and here's your responsibilities. So it's a full day of orientation, and I cover what I need to cover, but a lot of it is about kind of setting that tone. I do a lot of, and I won't go over all of these, but these are just some of the little events I do throughout the summer or the semester for them, tours of different places. Here's one that we went on last summer. Justice Abby Silver at the Nevada Supreme Court is our tour guide, and she was a previous prosecutor. And so it doesn't hurt when she does the tour and then she starts crying, talking about how the best part of her career was as a prosecutor on SVU in our office. That helps me recruit. We also show them the work we do for criminal justice reform. So this is me and some of my summer interns this summer, a couple Friday nights ago, supporting a local prison reentry group at their graduation. We'll go in and tour Spring Mountain Youth Camp so they can kind of see the juvenile side of things. We'll do a lot of CLEs, but really what they want, I think, is I want them to get exposed to all of those things and they're interested in it, but really they want courtroom experience, and all of us have that to offer. So this is you can mood it. Like, here's an example of us just playing around. But they really want to get that student practice certification so they can go on the record before they're even graduated from law school. So whatever you can do to get them into court and get them speaking on the record, that is going to be key for your internship program. That's really where it's at and where they want to be. I do an exit interview with each one of my interns. And so that helps me immensely. I think of it more as a stay interview, if you've heard of those before. Hopefully some of you guys have started to implement that. I think of it as a we want you back interview. And I'm always trying to improve my internship program by asking them what their experience was. So every single time I do exit interviews, I learn something that I'm either able to use to change the internship program for the better, or that I'm able to share with future interns about, hey, here's a tip on how to really slay this internship from the previous interns. So then once I've got that in place, I've got all these interns who are, people who know us and know that we're good. When we do have a posting, when we do have an open position, I now do direct contact to those people. I email, text, or message via social media all of my former interns who aren't working for us. I also contact directly the judicial clerks, previous applicants who I think have a chance, and then anybody who I just think of as friends of our office who will share this information with people who might be interested in it. So these are just a couple of my examples from my last recruitment on LinkedIn. I contact the previous interns, and I'm like, hey, I hope you're doing great at your current job, but just in case, or could you please pass this along to somebody who wants it? Here is our posting. We would love to see you apply. So from my last summer, I had 5 people that I got from Boyd, from OCI, 5 people that I got from out-of-state schools that I just got through career fairs, job postings, or OCI. And then 3 of those out-of-state people were people that kind of already probably wanted to be in Las Vegas because they had ties here. And out of those guys who were eligible to apply, there's only 1 person who hasn't applied to our office. And I love her, and she's wonderful, and she's a friend of the DA, and I will be, contacting her in the future to help get the word out because she had a great experience. So those are just some of the things that we do at the Clark County DA's office to try to kind of manufacture our own really strong applicants. And there's a lot more. I'd be happy to speak to you offline at a different time because I am, as you can see, very passionate about this topic.